Hello, folks. I am Alan for today's news. I will be reading and speaking about world news, interesting news, news to keep you entertained, and news to keep you informed. And while I got here, I was trying to do some search about Biden and the border, and is what I found. Desert News. It says President. It said Biden visited the southern border amid increase in migrants entering the country. Nothing much happened during the visit, except that both parties grew more upset by it. Except Joe Biden visited El Paso, Texas on Sunday to address a new immigration program amid a historic increase in migrants entering the U.S. And neither party is happy about his new policy. Democrats called the plan a humanitarian disgrace, and Republicans expressed anger that it was his first time visiting the border since his presidency, claiming the borders are wide open, the New York Times reported. From October 2021 to October 2022, Border Patrol reported 1.7 million people attempting to cross the border illegally, with its higher than any years since 1960. This is from the New York Times. What happened during Biden's visit to the southern border? The visit was not considered particularly fruitful, as the president never delivered an address or made remarks, and spent most of the visit consulting border personnel. He did go to a migrant respite center in El Paso, but reporters said it just so happened that there weren't any migrant people there at the time of the visit, according to CNN. What is Title 42? Part of the issue stems from Title 42 is a ban on allowing immigrants into the country, instituted in 2020 as a COVID-19 precaution. Biden's administration has debated when to end the policy, but it is currently still in place, despite Democrats and immigration advocates have been in stark opposition to it. What is Biden's immigration plan? Biden's proposed plan includes expanding Title 42 limitations by allowing 30,000 asylum seekers from the countries where the largest population of people are trying to cross the border to apply for citizenship from their country each month. Those countries are Cuba, Venezuela, Nicaragua, and Haitians. As a nation of immigrants, we must have a humane, effect and professional immigration system that reflects our American values. Democratic California Representative, can't say her name or his name, told the Hill. So you can read the rest of this in my description box. The link will be down below. I'm not for sure how much news I'll get done today. This is from Newsweek. What are Russia's Su-57 Felon jets? The plane Russia is terrified of losing. As Russia war effort continues, Moscow is reluctant to deploy some of its most advanced aircraft in the skies above Ukraine, according to a new assessment. Although since the summer, Russia has almost certainly opted to deploy the Su-57 Felon jets in the Ukraine conflict, the Kremlin has likely restricted these missions to within Russian borders. They probably don't want them to be destroyed by the Ukrainians. The UK Defense Minister said in an intelligence update. And let me see. Putin forces are believed to be using the aircraft to launch long-range missiles into Ukraine territory. The government department continue. The protection of the Su-57 jets is symptomatic of Russia's continued risk-averse approach to employing its air force in the war. The ministry said as Moscow looks to shield itself from the possibility of the Su-57 technology being compromised in Ukraine, it will also be looking to veer away from the prospect of its Air Force reputation taking a hit along with the advanced jets. However, Russian Defense Ministry claimed Russian forces had made brilliant use of the stealth jets in Ukraine, telling state media in August 2022 the Su-57 has a very high degree of protection against various air defense systems, as well as missile strikes. And if you want to know more about this, you can read that in my description box also. Okay, this is from the Cleaver Rebel. Russians launched widespread counter-strikes on Russian targets as weapons. Training reached Belarus. Ukraine media attacks on 17 Russian troops concentrations and 3 strikes on anti-aircraft missile targets. This update comes from the General Staff of Ukrainian Armed Forces. Over the past day, the Defense Forces Aviation carried out 17 strikes in the occupiers' focus areas, as well as 3 strikes in the position of enemy anti-aircraft missile complexes. According to Ukraine officials, the invading Russian army launched 7 missiles, 31 airstrikes, and 73 shells. Now, who would be counting these things? You know, when you're in a war, you don't think about counting bullets and guns and whatever. That's the way I think of it. Anyway, you got to read the rest of this in my description box. This is from Axios. New Omicron variant begins spreading in Iowa. The XBB.1.5 COVID-19 subvariant, a new version of the Omicron variant, is slowly growing in Iowa. State of play XBB.1.5 makes up about 28% of COVID cases in the country and is the 4th most prevalent strain here in Iowa. In the northeast region of the U.S., it makes up about 75% of the cases. The intrigued XBB.1.5 is different from previous virus because it can attach itself better to cells, CNBC reports. The virus needs to build tightly to cells to be more efficient at getting in, and that could help the virus be a little bit more efficient at affecting people. Of note, there do not appear to be any additional COVID-19 symptoms tied to the XBB.1.5. I wasn't going to bring COVID up, but we know some people in Iowa, so I figured I'll bring it up. It says yes, but scientists said it has a mutation that could allow the virus to evade COVID-19 vaccine boosters and cause more breakthrough infections, according to CNBC. And you can read the rest of this in let me read this one at the bottom here. What's next? Hospital medical faculty were inundated prior to the holidays in December, but infection and hospitalization have dipped down now in January. And now you can read the rest of this in my description box. The link be down below. This one here is from Fox News. What is the border crisis really like? El Paso resident explain why Biden likely won't find out. El Paso residents are spotlighting the reality of the border crisis in wake of President Biden's strategy visit to the U.S. southern border Sunday. I made a mistake. I wasn't supposed to say president. Which could could likely be another missed attempt by Joe Biden to show the American public the real crisis. The border city has made an international effort to clean up the downtown area to put on El Paso's best face, as Fox and Friends weekend co-host will claim. Described it. Will Kane described it. Let's play a little bit of this video here.
All right, thank you. And Will, over to you in El Paso, where you have some guests with you that are going to help explain what life is really like there in El Paso right now.
I do, thank you. So for the first time in his presidency, Joe Biden is visiting the southern border. Comes in today, and he's going to start right here in El Paso, Texas. And ahead of the big visit, the city is cleaning up migrant camps where thousands were living after being released by Border Patrol. Now, our next guests want the president to see what is actually happening. We've been having a fascinating conversation. It's already begun this morning. It's Guadalupe Giner. She is El Paso County Judge candidate, and Rosie, a longtime El Paso resident. Rosie is not sharing her last name. I didn't make a mistake here. We're going to get to why in just one moment Rosie is not sharing her last name. But let's just pick up what we were talking about a few moments ago, ladies, if we might. You both are essentially lifelong El Paso residents, both born just over there.
Correct.
In Juarez.
Yes.
And both, I think, made a real strong point to me. American citizens, that your families went about this process the right way. How did your family go about it, Rosie?
My parents are from Mexico. I was brought here to Segundo Barrio when I was 4 years old. My parents got sponsored by their employers.
And Guadalupe?
Well, my dad joined the U.S. Army. They came first as residents, legal residents, joined the U.S. Army, and as a result of that, our entire family was able to become an American citizen.
And you were both making the point to me, which you're first-generation immigrants, and there's a presumption.
Okay, if you want to hear the rest of this, the description will be in the description box. What I can't understand, though, why clean the migrants off the street? You want them to be on the street so Joe Biden can see the mess. They're doing this all wrong. They really are. They're not thinking. I would just keep them on the streets, and let Joe Biden see it, not make it pretty for him. That's bull crap. Okay, this is from Newsweek. Russia shoots own troops planning to surrender, Ukraine warns. Ukraine's general staff reported Sunday that Russia has used a National Guard unit to shoot soldiers who... Uh-oh, what happened to this? Something went goofed. Okay, let me start over here. Russia General Staff reported Sunday that Russia has used a National Guard unit to shoot soldiers who plan on deserting or surrendering to Ukrainian forces. The Ukraine staff said in its daily briefing that Russia is using its Rose, whatever the name that is, force to shoot would-be surrenders to maintain military discipline and prevent the spread of panic among personnel. It is the National Guard, composed of about 340,000 soldiers, mostly employed to handle internal conflicts within Russia. These troops reportedly shot 6 Russian soldiers who intended to on deserting, the report said. UK intelligence reported in early November 2022 that Russia began deploying such troops along the Russian-Ukraine border as barrier soldiers to prevent Russian soldiers from retreating by the threat of shooting them. That's all I'm gonna read on that one there. You can read the rest of my description box. So any of them that try to retreat or desert, they're killing them. Putin don't make no sense. This is from the Clever Rebel. Ukrainian launch widespread counter strikes on Russian targets and weapons. Training reached Belarus. Ukraine made attacks on 17 Russian troops concentrations and 3 strikes on anti-aircraft missile targets. The update comes from the General Staff of excuse me, of Ukraine's armed forces. Cough coming back. Sinus. Okay, over the past day, the Defense Forces Aviation carried out 17 strikes. Anyway, you gotta read the rest of them. My description box. Here's another one from Newsweek. Russia's only aircraft carrier can't even propel itself. Renovations on the Russian Navy flagship have hit another snag, and the vessel is in such poor conditions that it can't move under its own power, according to Ukraine's defense ministry. Equipped with anti-ship and air defense missile system, the 1,000-foot warship is Russia's only aircraft carrier. Excuse me. But it has been out of service and dry docks for repairs since 2017. Refurbishing the vessel is expected to extend its combat potential and increase its lifespan for another 10 to 15 years. But the process has been beset by accidents, fires, and corruption. Probably their own people trying to destroy the ship that they're trying to fix. And this is gonna be my last one here. Fox News again. Oh, I already read that one. Yeah, I did. So, folks, that's all I got for you. Like, subscribe, return, comment, and until tomorrow, later.